Of the Hoosier State for this interconference matchup between the NFC's Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the AFC's Indianapolis Colts. It's a good day to play football indoors because outside it is raining hard. It is dry and 69 inside the Hoosier Dome. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jim Nantz. You know, these two teams played last year in the final game of the regular season right here in the Hoosier Dome. The Colts won on that day to capture the AFC Eastern Division title. It's a totally different story this year as we approach the midway point of the 1988 season for the Colts. Our analyst today is Pat Haden. Pat, it's a pleasure to be back with you. You know, Tampa Bay is a team coming in here at 2-4, but from what you've seen, you're impressed by this bunch. What are they missing to win more often? Well, their defense has played well enough to win. The problem has been on offense, particularly turnovers. 14 interceptions by Vinny Testaverde. Ray Perkins told us he's going to be a great quarterback, but he's trying to do too much himself right now. He needs some of the other players on his team to come up with the big plays to take some of that pressure off him. The Colts are a befuddled bunch. They are 1-5 at this point. High expectations coming into the season. What's been wrong with the Colts this year? Well, it's not been their defense. On offense, they've been way too one-dimensional. And you have a tendency when Eric Dickerson is your tailback to try to have him win the game every week. I think the key today is rookie quarterback Chris Chandler. He himself has to come up with the big plays to give the Colts a chance to win. Chandler will have a chance to start things off as the Colts have won the toss and have elected to receive. Donald Igwe-Buike will kick off for the Buccaneers. Two excellent kickers in this game today, Igwe-Buike and Dean Biasucci of the Colts. Albert Bentley back deep to receive. We are underway at the Hoosier Dome. This is Bentley at the 5. Met at the 21-yard line by Jackie Walker, a backup linebacker for the Buccaneers. Rookie Chris Chandler, a third-round draft pick out of Washington, making his third start. Here's the defense he'll be facing today of Tampa Bay, and it's a young bunch. Swain, Cannon, and Holmes up front. Holmes, a former #1 draft pick out of Washington. The linebackers Murphy and Moss on the outside, Marv and Coleman on the inside. In the secondary for Tampa Bay, Reynolds and Futrell. And the safeties both hail from Penn State, Harry Hamilton and Mark Robinson. First and 10 from the 21 for Chris Chandler and the Colts. Play action on first down. This is Bentley. Bentley with a first down after a pickup of 11 yards. Knocked out by Sidney Coleman. Now the rest of the offense. Eric Dickerson and Albert Bentley. Clarence Verdun and Bill Brooks are the wide receivers. An offensive line that has been shuffled, reshuffled, mixed up from a year ago. Hinton, Dixon, Donaldson, Utt, Patton, and Pat Beach is the tight end. First down from the 33. Dickerson the lone setback. Two tight ends. Boyer joins Beach. Dickerson with a gain of 8 on his first carry. Brought down by Harry Hamilton. The leading rusher in the National Football League, Eric Dickerson. And what makes Dickerson so special, you know, obviously he's got the size and speed, but I think what separates him from the other running backs is tremendous vision. And that's different from eyesight because he wears those goggles, the prescription goggles, but he sees the whole field, and he's one of the great cutback runners ever to play the game. 2nd and 2. Mark Boyer and H-back lined up on the right side. This is Dickerson. He has the first down for Indianapolis. Over the years, one of the things that's impressed me about Eric Dickerson, and when you look at him, you think about all the long 40 and 50-yard runs he's had, but right there, he had 2 hard yards inside. He's a good inside runner. He has just made a living off the Tampa Bay defense. 3 of his 8 career games have been against the Buccaneers defense. Conversely, 3 of the 4 top opponents' efforts have been by Eric Dickerson. Ron Meyer, the coach of the Colts, likes to see what's happening right now. 2 first downs early for the Colts. Chandler knocked away and intercepted. Intercepted by Eugene Marv. Inside the 40, down the sideline and out of bounds at the 25. Eugene Marv, acquired in the offseason from Buffalo for an 8th-round draft pick. That is the second interception in his 7-year career.
And you get interceptions like this when you force a quarterback to come off into a secondary receiver. Chris Chandler wanted to go left, had to hold the ball a long time, and so then the ball was thrown high. The ball was tipped, and Marv, who's playing the inside linebacker, was about 15 yards deep. He took away everything inside, but got deep enough to make the play, and that is good team defense. And I think the defense this year for the Bucs has played well enough, other than in their opening game loss, to win their games.
Vinny Testaverde, in his second year out of Miami, the quarterback of Tampa Bay. And the Bucs have yet to score this year in the first quarter. Excellent chance here from the 33 of the Colts. Good time for Testaverde. Complete to Kerry Good. Good, a rookie out of Alabama, stopped by Fred Young. Here's the defense now for the Colts. Thompson and Hand, the ends, having good years. Joe Klecko, the longtime veteran of the Jets, now with the Colts, starting at nose tackle. Linebackers Alston and Bickett on the outside, Cliff Odom, and the recently acquired Fred Young on the inside. Secondary, Chris Good, Daniel, Pryor, and Swope. Second down and 5. After the completion to Kerry Good. This is a rookie, William Howard, with a flag down on the play. Stopped by John Hand after a short gain, and it's against the Buccaneers. The Bucs are starting 2 rookie running backs today. First time that has happened for this franchise since 1977, when they started Ricky Bell and Anthony Davis.
Holding. 74 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
That's Paul Gruber, the #1 draft pick out of Wisconsin. He's had a terrific year up to this point. He's played against real tough defensive linemen.
Here's the rest of the offense. We mentioned the rookies in the backfield. Good and Howard. Good out of Alabama, Howard out of Tennessee. A couple of good wide receivers in their second year, Carrier and Hill. Gruber, the 4th pick in the draft this year on the offensive line, along with Mallory, the leader, Randy Grimes, Turk, Taylor, and the tight end, Ron Hall. Ray Perkins, in his second year at Tampa Bay, played for the Colts franchise.
30 seconds on the down clock. Thank you.
Reset the 30-second clock. It'll be 2nd and 15 forthcoming. Split backfield, Howard and Good behind Vinny Testaverde. Good in motion. Testaverde overthrows and intercepted by Mike Pryor. This game is 3 minutes old, and we already have 2 turnovers. The interception by Mike Pryor, a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
And this is what's been plaguing Vinny Testaverde, his 15th of the year. You see the hole right there in the middle of the defense? That's where he's trying to hit that soft spot. He feels the soft spot. He's trying to hit the receiver going down the middle, but it was overthrown, and a nice interception by Mike Pryor.
The Colts will take over from their own 14. Today featuring 2 young quarterbacks. We've already seen each quarterback intercepted here in the opening minutes from the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. Chris Chandler bruised sternum last week against Buffalo. Left the game with the Colts in front 10-0. Hogaboom took over, up the lead to 17-0 before the Bills came back to win that ball game 34-23. Chandler has been impressive when he's played this year. This is Dickerson for a loss.
Well, speaking about Chris Chandler, I think Ron Meyer is really committed to Chris Chandler for the long haul. But it's awfully tough, I think, for a rookie. The toughest thing for a rookie quarterback to do is to lead a team. I was thrown into that situation a few years ago with the Rams when I had to play as a rookie. And until you do it and prove to your teammates that you can bring your team from behind and that you can win big games, you can't get the leadership out of the quarterback position that you need.
Ron Meyer's team now with a 2nd and 16, backed up at its own 9-yard line. Indianapolis. Holmes almost jumped off side for the Bucks. And the pass is almost intercepted, intended for the tight end, Pat Beach.
Early in this game, this Tampa Bay pass defense has been very impressive. Good protection here for Chris Chandler, but what the key here was great pass coverage by the Bucks. They drop 8. You just see 3 men rushing, and I haven't found a wide receiver open yet or a tight end open yet for the Colts. That's good coverage, good team coverage by the Bucks.
3rd and 16 for the Colts. Eugene Marv with that interception early here in the game for Indianapolis, the 2nd of his career. His only other interception came against Tampa Bay when he was playing for Buffalo. Chandler looking for Brooks. Good coverage out there by Ricky Reynolds in his 2nd year out of Washington State. He was right with him. Punting situation for Roan Stark and the Colts.
2 defensive series for the Bucks, and on both series they did their job. Once, of course, the interception by Marv. That time they've got the Colts. This time they've got the Colts backed up, and their offense is going to get good field position.
Roan Stark in his 3rd season or 7th season out of Florida State, averaging over 45 yards a punt. Standing in his own end zone. Bobby Futrell back for Tampa Bay. Futrell fields it at the 44. Back to midfield, where he's tripped up by Terry Wright of the Colts. 47-yard punt, 6-yard return. Again, good field position coming up for Vinny Testaverde and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay takes over at midfield. And the $64,000 question in Tampa is, when will the Bucks score in the first quarter? They have been outscored this year 64-0 by their opponents.
And 2 weeks ago, Ray Perkins said he wanted a touchdown in the first quarter. He's lowered his expectations. He'll take a field goal today in the first quarter.
How about a safety?
Just some points.
Bruce Hill in motion. And the handoff to William Howard. He is wrestled down by John Hand, 3rd-year player out of Alabama. Hand, one of 3 players on the Colts who played for Ray Perkins at Alabama.
And he is a real force, particularly against the run. Hand is 298 pounds, and he's tough to root out of there. Hasn't been a real strong pass rusher, but very tough to run on.
Joe Klecko is out of the game now. Byron Darby taking over at nose tackle on 2nd down. And 9. Play action. Testaverde has it. It's a completion and a fumble picked up by Dwayne Bickett. Now they're saying incomplete. The pass was intended for Ron Hall. Mike Pryor, the free safety, jarred it loose.
And that's a play a free safety has to make. Mike Pryor, we saw him earlier with the interception. Again, they run the double zone defense. The soft spot is always down the middle to the tight end. The ball was well thrown, but Pryor put a heck of a pop on Hall.
That is Ron Hall being tended to now on the field.
Again, look in the middle of the field. Double zone defense. The soft spot is right where Vinny Testaverde is throwing it. It's a good read and a fine throw, but the free safety makes a real nice play on it, Pryor, and knocks the ball loose. That's 2 big plays by the free safety, and in the NFL, your free safety has to be able to make those kind of plays in a double zone defense.
That's good to see. Ron Hall back on his feet. 2nd-year tight end out of Hawaii. Ray Perkins has 3 receivers in their 2nd year. Hall, Hill, and Carrier. All coming in with the class of Testaverde. Ray Perkins, a receiver, of course, for the Colts from 1967 through 71. Was on 1 Super Bowl championship team with the Colts. So a 3rd down and 9 for Vinny Testaverde out of the shotgun. Jeff Smith in the game now for the Buccaneers in the backfield. That pass intended for Bruce Hill. Punting time for Tampa Bay. This is Ray Criswell. Pat, he's had some problems this year.
Well, you know, the Bucs drafted a punter, Monty Robbins, in the 4th round, cut him in training camp, and they were hoping Criswell would be the guy, but he has had some problems, only averaging 36 yards a punt.
Criswell last in the National Football League in punting. Verdun leads the NFL in punt returns. Spiraling kick fielded by Verdun, and he's down immediately. Had to make a leaping grab of that punt. Tackled at the 17-yard line. 9:43 left in the first quarter. No score.
Back for the Rams is having an unbelievable year as far as sacks go. They lead the league in sacks.
Chandler to throw on first down. Pass is caught by the backup tight end, Mark Boyer. Tackled by Ricky Reynolds.
It is clear to me, Jim, in this game we have 2 of the strongest young arms in the NFL. Chris Chandler whipped that ball out there at that time, and of course everybody knows about Testaverde's arm strength. What the coaches like also about Chris Chandler is he got some foot speed. He's a little bit mobile. He's not going to make anybody forget you, McElhaney, or anything, but he does have enough foot speed to make people miss.
2nd and 5. Dickerson the lone setback. Matt Booza in the game as a receiver right. Brooks to the left. Again, Dickerson is stopped. John Cannon. Tackle for Tampa Bay.
Interesting adjustment the Buck defense is making. It looks like every time that the Colts go into their one-back set like they did there, they go into that Buddy Ryan 46 type defense, 2 linebackers to one side, and the down linemen all lined up over the center and 2 guards, and they pretty much stuffed Dickerson in the one-back set.
Dickerson 4 carries for 4 yards. 3rd and 6. Chandler to Brooks. First down. Stopped by Ricky Reynolds.
We're talking to the coaches this week about Bill Brooks. What they said is, hey, this guy can really jump. He's a great athlete. He'll catch the ball over the middle, but really separates him from other people is the way he gets up. That's twice he's gone up to the receiver, and that takes some courage. And watch the pressure that Chris Chandler is under. This is a tough thing to teach a rookie quarterback. Be able to hang in there when you're going to take that kind of abuse that time by Swain, number 70. That's a good play.
A gain of 26. Brooks has now caught a pass in every game he's ever played for the Colts. 35 in a row. First down. Dickerson. Flea flicker back to the quarterback. Chandler to Brooks. Inside the 30.
Hey, the flea flicker looked like it happened so quickly. I didn't think they were going to fool the Buck defense. But what happened, Booza, as you see Dickerson just it happened so quickly. I don't think the defense was fooled. But Booza went deep. The safety went with him. And then Brooks ran a crossing route and came wide open. Again, watch. One receiver goes deep, and I think all the defensive backs are guarding against the real big play when they see the flea flicker. But Brooks cut underneath for the catch.
1st and 10 after a pickup of 24 yards. Dickerson running left. Lead block there by Patton. And a pickup of 4 for Dickerson. Stopped by Harry Hamilton. This team has been accused, the Colts, of being too one-dimensional, but certainly not on this series.
Well, you're right. The first 4 games, particularly the Colts, were one-dimensional. And as we talked at the top of the show, Jim, you get lulled to sleep when you have a guy with his kind of ability. You say, one of these days, I know he's going to break the 60-yard run and win the game for us. You become too dependent upon a guy with that kind of ability.
2nd and 6 from the 24. H-back is Boyer. The lone setback, Dickerson. Brooks in motion. This is Brooks again. Leaning for the first down. He's close at the 18. Ricky Reynolds on the coverage.
The right call for the right defense. The inside linebackers are going to step up, and it looked like there was a blitz from the inside. and Brooks was in motion, so that gave him a little head start. You see the linebackers 99, Marv, had come in on the blitz, and Brooks filled that little void where Marv left, and that's a nice call for a blitzing defense.
Pat, it is 3rd and 1 for Indianapolis. Tight end Beach lines up on the right side. The H-back, Boyer along with him. Dickerson gets the pitch, changes direction, and will have the first down. That is right there, vintage Eric Dickerson.
That was kind of strange, Jim. On 3rd and 1, you'd think that you would go up the middle, but this thing was designed to fake like he's going to go right, and then he's going to try to follow the block of his quarterback. This is designed to go outside to the left, but Chris Chandler didn't give much of a break. But that's the ability. They can get you 1 yard. It looked like it was going to be a 3-yard loss, but Eric Dickerson's ability gives you the first down.
Able to step away was Dickerson from John Cannon. 1st and 10 now from the 17-yard line. Dickerson dropped for a big loss. Coming up from his safety spot, Mark Robinson.
And Ray Perkins has said that he's been very happy with the way this defense has played, and you can see why. There's a lot of guys around the ball all game long. They're not staying blocked. They're fighting off blocks. They've got a great attitude. That time, Mark Robinson, the strong safety, came up, and that's what you need. You need some team defense and some enthusiasm on your team, even if you're on a winning team at this point in the season.
2nd and 16 after the loss of 6. Dickerson now 7 carries for 3 yards. Verdun in motion. Brooks lined up on the far right. Looking for Brooks. He has him at the 10. Pushed back. But another completion to Bill Brooks. They'll spot it at the 11-yard line.
Brooks has been a factor. We've seen him catch the ball over the middle. They've thrown the ball deep to him, and this time it's just an out route. But watch how quickly the ball gets there. That is the key. You don't stay too open in the NFL, and the quarterback has to deliver the ball on time when he's open, and that's what happened right there.
Chandler has hit on his last 5 passes. Brooks with 4 receptions already here in the first quarter. 3 minutes left first quarter, no score. 3rd down and 4. Albert Bentley joins Dickerson in the backfield. It appears Harry Swain may have jumped for Tampa Bay.
And that should give them the first down.
Coachman, nose guard. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Well, it's going to be a little bit short of the first down, but rather than being a passing down, it now becomes a run down. It's a completely different set of circumstances. And Swain right there in the middle of your screen, right of the screen, number 70, over the center. Long count by Chandler, which is a nice call, I think, on a 3rd and 5 or 6, a passing down. When a quarterback goes on a long count, you have an opportunity of drawing the defense offside.
It's a 1st and goal for the Colts from the 6-yard line. Chris Chandler, the 3rd round draft pick out of Washington, looking very savvy on this series. Double tight end formation. Dickerson in the backfield. Dickerson looking for the corner. A yard short. Harry Hamilton grabbed him by the legs.
Eric Dickerson can make some of the most exciting and difficult 3-yard runs, and I think sometimes we don't appreciate him when he makes the 3-yard game, but this is a tough 3 yards because Mark Robinson really had him, but he put the move on him, has the strength to give him the stiff arm, and still made about 3 or 4 yards.
2nd and goal from the 1. Bentley back in there. Bentley along with Dickerson, split behind Chandler. The give is to Dickerson. He goes in, standing up, touchdown, Indianapolis.
And that was an impressive drive by Indianapolis. Look at the hole on the right side. Patton, number 65, and the guard, Utt, cleared the way along with Bentley, the lead back. And there shouldn't be that big a hole down by the goal line in a 6-1 goal line defense, but there was there.
Dickerson's 4th touchdown of the season. And the Colts get on the board in the first quarter. Dean Biasucci for the extra point. He's made 50 in a row. Last year a Pro Bowler. Ron Stark, the punter, on the hold. 7-0 Colts. A minute 43 left in the first quarter. An 82-yard drive with a 1-yard run for the score by Eric Dickerson. 7-0 Indianapolis over Tampa Bay with 1:43 left in the first quarter. An 82-yard drive, 73 yards via the passing of Chris Chandler. A reminder, next Saturday on CBS Sports, another one of those rivalries. It's Alabama and Penn State. Pat, you'll be down in Alabama for that game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this freshman quarterback at Penn State, Saka, the most highly recruited quarterback in the country. He is starting for Penn State.
That's 2:30 Eastern time next Saturday. Pat, have you recovered from yesterday's Miami Notre Dame game?
Terrific game, wasn't it?
That was outstanding. That is Jeff Smith in the end zone. Touchback. Tampa Bay will start at the 20.
Part of the problem Vinny Testaverde has had this year is that we showed the graphic earlier, them not scoring in the first quarter. He's had to seemingly come from behind every week. And although they've played hard and close the last few weeks, that's a tough position to put a quarterback in, having to come back from behind each week.
He nearly brought the Buccaneers back last week against Minnesota. Just ran out of time at the end. Out of the I formation from the 20 on first down, play action. Testaverde unloads as Donnell Thompson and John Hand were in the backfield.
And Ray Perkins has to be happy to see Vinny Testaverde do that. Just get rid of the ball. He's taken 15 sacks, which surprises me because he's a great athlete. But I think one of the toughest things to teach a young quarterback is to dump the ball, throw the ball away, because we so often judge quarterbacks by their statistics only. They're afraid to do it.
You know, Vinny's a pretty strong guy himself. Thompson rushed in on him, and he's the guy walking off the field shaking up.
Well, he's 6'5", he's 215 pounds. He's got a whip for an arm.
Harvey Armstrong comes in to replace Donnell Thompson. 2nd and 10. Good in motion. And on the delay, it's William Howard, the rookie, and good yardage. First down, Tampa Bay. A 13-yard gain by William Howard.
A good running game will allow a young quarterback to grow more slowly, make some mistakes, and still be able to win. 2nd and long, good call, but the key here was some terrific blocks by his lineman. 68 Rick Mallory, the left guard, made a fine block. Randy Grimes, the center, did as well. That was the key to that play.
First down for Tampa Bay. It's Kerry Good this time on the pitch. Brian Alston on that side for the Colts in the final minute of the first quarter.
This is the defense. This Colt defense was really the large reason they got into the playoffs last year. Played very, very well. And they still played reasonably well this year. Again, the problems have more been on offense than defense.
25 seconds left in the first quarter. 2nd and 10. Carrier left, Hill to the right, but it's a running play here. It's William Howard. Nothing there for the Buccaneers. And that will most likely be the last play of the quarter. So the Bucs keep their streak alive of being shut out in the opening stanza. Now it's 71-0 on the season after the first quarter of play. That's the end of the first quarter here at the Hoosier Dome with the score: the Colts 7, the Bucs nothing. Action in the second quarter with the Colts in front 7-0. Third down play coming up for the Bucs, who today are playing without James Wilder. He is not here today. He is inactive for this game because of an ankle injury suffered a week ago against Minnesota. Pass is caught. Bruce Hill inside the 40 of the Colts, Finally brought down by Mike Pryor.
You know, it's interesting. You see why fans sometimes get frustrated. Vinny Testaverde can look so good as he throws this ball here. Again, a beautiful touch because he wasn't open very long. Hill just found that seam right down the middle, and it was a beautiful touch throw by Vinny Testaverde.
A 27-yard gain. Bruce Hill can rack up the yardage, and the Bucs start out with a bang here in the second quarter. That's Hill in motion. Testaverde rolling, throwing, complete to the tight end, Ron Hall. Hall, after being shaken up in the first quarter, back in there, and a healthy gain on that play. Pickup of 16 yards.
Nice mix of plays. They go down deep to Bruce Hill on the play earlier, then come back with a little play action pass and use Testaverde's athletic ability to get him outside. Ron Hall had slipped out into a little dead zone there. A nice touch again by Testaverde, but nice sequencing of plays. You go up top one time, you come back and use the tight end the next.
So Hall with the reception and the first down from the 22. William Howard off right tackle for no gain. That was John Hann and O'Brien Alston there for the Colts. Cliff Odoms coming up to help out as well, as we see the 1986 Heisman Trophy winner. Pat, we were there that day that Vinny was awarded the coveted award.
And the expectations have been great, obviously. But remember, Terry Bradshaw, so highly thought of, really didn't make a move to his 5th year in the NFL.
Second down play. Testaverde looking to good. Nothing there with Bickett on the coverage for the Colts. Dwayne Bickett, the outside linebacker for the Colts. He's a good one, Pat. He's from your alma mater, USC. Tell me about him.
Well, Bickett is one of those guys who is a quiet kind of player. You don't hear much about him throughout the league, but a very, very steady player. Big guy who I think plays just as well over the tight end of the formation as he does on the open side. Some outside linebackers are pure pass rushers, not Bickett. He can play the tight end side, or he can rush the passer.
3rd and 10. Out of the shotgun. Testaverde looking and overthrowing. That was Frank Pillow, the intended receiver. There is a flag down.
Illegal procedure. I think one of the reasons you see that is the Colts defensive ends line up so wide.
Illegal motion. 72 on the offense. Penalty declined. 4th down.
Well, I understand that. Rob Taylor, number 72, is the right tackle. But he was worried about Dwayne Bickett, who lined up at defensive end about 4 yards outside of them, was worried about getting his open up in the formation, be able to block him before he got to the quarterback, and so he took an early jump.
Brings in old reliable for Tampa Bay, Donald Igwe-Buike. You see Rob Taylor and Vinny Testaverde on the sidelines. This will be marked as a 40-yard attempt. Look at that career mark, 41 for 44 from this distance. Criswell on the hold, and Igwe-Buike is perfect. And the Bucs are on the board with 12:43 left in the second quarter. The score, the Colts 7 and the Buccaneers 3. Igwe-Buike has cut into the Colts lead. It's now 7-3 as you see the game summary. Testaverde and Chandler's numbers up there. Chandler posting some good numbers on that last series for the Colts. Jim Nantz along with Pat Haden here at the Hoosier Dome. And Pat, what about Chris Chandler? On the last series, it took him right down the field, 82 yards for a touchdown.
Well, you know, at the top of the show, we said he had to come up with some of the big plays to take the pressure off Dickerson. On that drive, he did. Came up with a couple of big passes, particularly on 3rd down.
So the Colts now will receive the kick from Donald Igwe-Buike. Strong-legged kicker out of Clemson. And it comes down to Albert Bentley at the 5, racing up the right side and brought down at the 22-yard line. Brought down there by Robert Goff. Here comes Chris Chandler again on that last series. He passed for 73 yards as the Colts marched 83 yards in all.
Chandler seems to have a nice feel for the game, too, Jimmy. Again, it's tough when you get into the heat and you have a bunch of bodies flying around on the pass rush, but he has not panicked thus far in the game. He's hung in there pretty well.
Brooks to the left, Booza in a slot left. Dickerson in the backfield. On first down, and it's Dickerson with the carry. Boys, he met head on. Met head on by Eugene Marv. And this is one player, Marv, who was a great acquisition in the offseason for this defense.
And you know, the coaches told me they aren't sure where they'd be without Eugene Marv. One of those guys who isn't necessarily the most gifted guy in the NFL, but always seems to be around the ball. A real steadying influence for this defense. Made the interception early in the game.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10.
Whoops.
And Cannon comes across.
There he is, John Cannon.
Encroachment.
How many?
Still 2nd down.
Jimmy, how many nose tackles do you know from William and Mary? Somehow that just doesn't seem to work right. You got a nose tackle, John Cannon, 260 pounds, but he went to William and Mary.
He sells real estate in the offseason. It'd be hard to say no to this guy if he was showing you how to like.
Normally a defensive end, but Kurt Jarvis is hurt, so he's playing some nose today.
2nd and 5. Booza right. Brooks in a slot right. Comes Brooks in motion. Passing now is Chandler, and a completion with a flag down. Caught by the H-back, Mark Boyer. Looked like Mark Robinson, Pat, was draped all over him.
Yeah, he was all over his back, but the ball was so well thrown.
Number 30 on the defense. In either case, it is a 1st down. By completion, or by penalty.
And we thank you. That's a good explanation of it all. But this ball was so well thrown that even though Boyer was interfered with, he couldn't do anything but help but catch it because the ball is down low and right in the numbers away from the defender. Mark Robinson had come through over his back, and that's where the flag came from.
1st and 10 from the 34. Dickerson. Down by Ron Holmes at the line of scrimmage. This is somewhat typical of a game for Dickerson as we have a little altercation.
And Dickerson is down and getting up very slowly. Remarkable thing to me about Dickerson has been his durability. You know, when you're carrying the ball 25 times a game as he has over his career, it's been remarkable to me that he does not seem to get injured. Very durable running back.
11 carries for 9 yards. I say typical for Dickerson. He'll just kind of plug along, and then suddenly he'll break a long one on you, Pat.
That's the dependence they've had on him, and that's what they're trying to get away from. And Chris Chandler has done a nice job of taking some of the load off him today.
So Bentley fills in now for Dickerson on this play on 2nd and 10. Burdan in motion. Swinging it out to Bentley, incomplete. Albert Bentley was a player last year, Pat, who before Dickerson came along was having a sensational year and ended up with some great numbers on the season. He was 2nd in the National Football League in all-purpose yardage in '87.
Well, he's been awfully quiet this year, but the thing I liked about him, I know he's frustrated, but he hasn't gone public and voiced that frustration, and he's a very unselfish player. And I think in the NFL you need guys like Albert Bentley on their team who, when they get their chance, they don't complain and they go out and give you everything they have.
George Wansley's in the backfield with Albert Bentley. Wansley has not carried the football this season. It's 3rd and 10. Chandler stepping out of the pocket now. Will run for the 1st down. He has it.
When you have 5 defensive linemen rushing you, as Chris Chandler does here, once you get past the first wave, everybody else is in pass coverage. He breaks through that first wave, and then he's on his way, and he's a big guy with some good foot speed. breaks a couple of arm tackles, knows where the chain is, and that's why they like Chris Chandler, because he's got the big arm and still has the quick feet.
Pickup of 13 yards and a first down, and Eric Dickerson's back in there for the Colts. Bentley in motion. Chandler now finds Dickerson for a short gain. He was wanting to go long, it appeared, to Clarence Verdun, but Verdun was covered out there by Bobby Futrell. Eugene Marv on the coverage as Dickerson picks up a gain of 5 on the completion.
Much has been written about Eric Dickerson, about him, about the trade coming here and him wanting more money and such, but once he gets on the field, he plays hard no matter what. And again, you saw an instance where he got banged up a couple of plays ago, but he's dying to get back in again. He is 100% football player, Eric Dickerson.
2nd and 5. The Colts now, and Tampa Bay is into the field. The H-back, Boyer in motion. Chandler complete to Boyer. First down for the Colts. Putting another nice drive together here as Eugene Marv tackles Boyer after the first down.
The key here, though, for Chandler has been the protection. Watch Ray Donaldson, number 53, right there against Sean Lee, number 97, the nose tackle. He gets some help from his right guard, Utt. And that's what it takes. Right there the inside, no penetration up the middle, which gives Chandler plenty of room to step forward and throw.
First down for the Colts. We keep talking about the H-back for Indianapolis. We'll talk about that a little bit more. 2 tight ends in here. Boyer on the left side. Beach tucked in on the right. Chandler will stay with the pass. He has the tight end, Pat Beach.
Well, Jim, talking about the H-back, the Colts use this an awful lot. It's a 2 tight end scheme, and Ron Meyer likes this scheme because he doesn't feel that once he has Eric Dickerson in the backfield, the other back, all he's going to do is block. And you're better off having a second tight end blocking rather than another back. And that's his philosophy in this H-back 2 tight end scheme.
2 tight ends in here. Brooks on the left side, Booza in his 7th year for the Colts in the slot left. Dickerson in the backfield on 2nd and 5. Dickerson with the carry. Stutter steps, has the first down inside the 30. He could have been dropped for a loss there, Pat, but again, he made something out of the play.
And he'll give you 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, and boom, and then he'll pop one. Again, watch the lineman go in the different ways, and he just feels this on his own. That play was designed to go to the right, but again, the vision of Eric Dickerson, he saw and felt a soft spot on the backside of the defense, and that's where he ran.
1st and 10 from the 27 of Tampa Bay. Chandler. Incomplete, intended for Pat Beach. He should have had it.
You know, Jim, I've really been impressed with this Colt offensive line. As you mentioned earlier, it's been an offensive line that had 3 Pro Bowlers a year ago. Of course, Ron Salt, the contract dispute, is no longer here. They've had guys banged up. Chris Hinton, the left tackle right there, number 75. He's been out for a couple of weeks. They've moved guys around. And you need a lot of continuity in your offensive line, which for the first time, the Colts this year are finally getting into that groove in the offensive line.
2nd and 10. Verdun left, Brooks right. Chandler heavy pressure, throws it away. Only Donaldson, the center, was in the area. The Chandler pressure was being felt as Kevin Murphy was all over the rookie quarterback.
Well, this is a screen, and there's supposed to be some pressure on the quarterback on the screen, but not this much. Ron Holmes from the backside got a great burst off the ball, and Chandler never had a chance. He was lucky that ball didn't get picked off by Winston Moss.
Another drive here. It's spanned 50 yards and 11 plays to this point. The Colts, the worst team in the NFL this season in 3rd down efficiency, but today they are 3 out of 4 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 10. Dickerson will have the first down and more. inside the 10. Touchdown, Eric Dickerson. A 27-yard scamper on 3rd and 10 by Eric Dickerson, his second score of the day.
What looks like a good call is always a great call when you have a guy to give it to like Eric Dickerson. 5 down linemen, not the usual 4 on the rush. Again, once you get through the first wave, you have a chance for a very big play. And when you have the athleticism of a guy like Dickerson, it means touchdown.
The Colts have driven it down the field, the last 2 possessions for touchdowns, ending with Eric Dickerson scores. And Biasucci to attempt the point after. Stark on the hold. Biasucci. And now with 6 minutes, 12 seconds left in the second quarter, it's Indianapolis 14-3 over Tampa Bay. Beautiful drive, mastered by the young quarterback, Chris Chandler, and scored by Eric Dickerson on a 27-yard run. Pat, that was over 6.5 minutes long, that drive by the Colts, who now lead it 14-3.
And when you take some of the pressure off of Dickerson, as Chandler has done, he has more opportunities to come up with the big plays as he did there.
Dickerson now with 66 career touchdowns. This is his 6th season of football. Biasucci not very deep on the sideline, caught by Jeff Smith. He rolls forward to about the 25. Terry Wright over there.
Jim, let's take another look at what happened here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went with 5 defensive linemen rather than 4, trying to put some pressure on Chris Chandler. But when you break through that first wave, there's plenty of open ground in the secondary. The guys were playing man for man. The free safety, Hamilton, tries to come up and make the play. He's looking for some help, but again, a great cutback. But it was the 5-man rush of the Bucs that set that up.
Don Smith is in the backfield now for Tampa Bay as they line up out of the eye. He's the deep back. Howard is the fullback here. First down. Testaverde complete. Complete to Ron Hall, the tight end. Fred Young on the coverage and the stop for the Colts. Don Smith in the backfield. He was injured last year, had a broken leg, had to sit out his rookie season, had been on injured reserve until this week when he was activated because of a knee injury. Don Smith, number 47, but Ray Perkins thinks he could be a dynamite player for the Buccaneers. Out of Mississippi State, where he was a quarterback in college. It's him in motion. On second down, Testaverde throwing complete. Hall has it. First down up to the 46-yard line. Ron Hall. 13-yard gain on the play.
And Testaverde doing a nice job of spreading the ball around, first to his wide receivers, then back to his tight ends. Looked off to his right that time, which he hadn't been doing a very good job of this year, but that time he looked off to his right, came back to Ron Hall, the tight end, who wasn't wide open, but it was a very good throw by Testaverde.
All with 3 receptions in the first half. Out of the eye, play action by Testaverde. Look out, pressure. Bickett has him sacked. Dwayne Bickett with a little help from John Hand.
We talked earlier about Bickett, the ability for him to rush the passer as well as play the run. And that's unusual from an outside linebacker. Most of them you think either as pass rushers or run stoppers, but Bickett can do both. He does a nice job over Gruber, the rookie, who gives up only his 2nd sack on the year. Again, one more look at Paul Gruber. He gets on the corner of him, and that's a dangerous place to be.
Paul Gruber was the 4th pick in this year's NFL draft out of Wisconsin. He's had a good rookie year, allowing the sack there, the first of the day, allowed by Tampa Bay. Second and long, Vinny throwing complete. What a catch by Bruce Hill. Bruce Hill with the first down at the 32 of the Colts. Eugene Daniel.
And Testaverde got hit on the side of the head. I think he is okay. But once again, he found that little soft spot right down the middle of the defense. Pryor, number 39, is backing straight up and reading Testaverde's eyes. But see, the key there, he looks right first. You saw him come back to his left. That got Mike Pryor, the free safety, out of the way and allowed him to come up with a big completion.
32-yard play.
Testaverde got hit on the side of the head, but I think he's okay.
Smith lined up as a receiver right. Hill and Courier left. Testaverde throwing complete again to the tight end Hall. That's his 4th catch. We are at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis for the Colts and the Buccaneers. It's Indianapolis leading at the time, 14-3. 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Jim Nantz along with Pat Haden. We're seeing two teams that have struggled to this point the first 6 weeks of the season, but an intense, persistent bunch here of Ray Perkins trying to break through, learn how to win. Here's William Howard on the carry. He has the first down on 2nd and short.
It was interesting watching Joe Klecko play nose tackle for the Colts, number 73, transfer from the Jets. See how he's offset right there? He's one of the very few guys who does that, and he's got the strength. It looks like there's a natural gap right there, and there was. The hole went right there. They went away from his slant, but generally he is strong enough to be able, even though he lines up that way, still get back in position.
Klecko in his 12th year out of Temple. He played in the Pro Bowl 5 times with the Jets. On first down, Testaverde caught by Don Smith. And that's the first time Don Smith has touched the football in the National Football League in his 2nd season. And we have the 2-minute warning. The Bucs are driving, trailing by the score of 14-3. Discussing strategy with head coach Ray Perkins. And you see the backup quarterback Joe Ferguson.
Interesting, Ray Perkins is the offensive coordinator. He is taking it upon himself to develop Vinny Testaverde. And again, thinks very, very highly of the young man. He's going to make some mistakes, but he can only get better by playing.
1st and goal at the 7. Testaverde has completed his last 5. He's going to throw again. And under heavy pressure, he throws it away. That was Joe Klecko in his face.
And again, the second time that Testaverde has thrown the ball away. This is the key, one of those subtle things that can help a team win. You don't think about things like this. You always think about quarterbacks making the big plays. But a little play like this, just getting rid of the ball when nothing good's going to happen, that's a big play, I think. You don't take a sack, you don't throw the interception, and you're still 2nd and goal.
Carrier to the left, Hill to the right. Tight end Hall lined up on the right side. That's Smith in motion.
Tight end should be open.
Howard on the carry. Dropped for a 3-yard loss by Cliff Odoms.
Boy, there's a lot of room for the tight end to work. The Colts are double covering both outside receivers, and Testaverde has had some success with his tight end Hall.
Cliff Odoms starting on the inside today along with Fred Young. He had been really disappointed when Young was moved back to the inside. They tried him at an outside linebacker spot when they first got him back from Seattle.
And he's starting inside again today because Barry Krause, their normal starter inside, is injured. Neck injury prevents him from playing.
Pat, here it's 3rd and goal from the 10. 4 wideouts in for Tampa Bay. And Testaverde will take a timeout with 1:09 left in the half. So a big 3rd down play coming up. Bucs trail 14-3. This is an important play coming up, Pat, to get within 1 score of the Colts by halftime.
And Jim, I think this is the most difficult call in football. You have the ball on the 10-yard line. You can't get a first down. You have to get the ball into the end zone. The one thing you have going for you have a quarterback with a rocket arm. And when a team plays zone, you need a big arm to get the ball in between those zones.
Hill and Pillow to the left. Starring and Carrier to the right. Testaverde looking at the end zone. Caught, touchdown. Bruce Hill.
I think the underthrown pass oftentimes may be one of the best passes because the receiver sees it and can make the adjustment as Hill does here, but the defensive back never does. Testaverde, again, he first looked right, then came left. The ball is underthrown, but Hill's the only one who sees it. You know, I've seen teams do that by design. I do not know whether the Bucs designed that one, but it was a nice adjustment by Bruce Hill.
Bruce Hill's 4th touchdown of the season. Igwe Buike good on the extra point. And an impressive drive by Tampa Bay to cut the Colts lead now to 14-10. A minute 5 left before the intermission. Seconds with the 10-yard touchdown pass to Bruce Hill. Testaverde on a 3rd down play to Bruce Hill. And now the Colts, with all 3 timeouts left, about to receive the kick of Donald Igwe Buike. That's Albert Bentley at the goal line. Low driving kick. Scooped up by Terry Wright at the 15. Out past the 30. Good field position for the Colts. With all 3 timeouts left, they'll give it a go here before halftime. And don't forget, the NFL Today will send you back at the intermission. Brent.
Here for the Colts, when you think they have a kicker by the name of Biasucci, who's had a long of 53 yards this year, they have 3 timeouts remaining. They have to be thinking field goal.
Verdon and Booza left. Brooks to the right. Bentley and Dickerson in the backfield as Biasucci warms up on the sidelines, stretches it out. Pass incomplete, in and out of the hands of Dickerson.
One of the few things Dickerson doesn't do well is catching the ball. Although he's catching the ball more here in Indianapolis than he did with the Rams, has 14 catches coming into the game, but not noted for his hands. Generally, they substitute him to throw to him. Dickerson with, well, he's approaching 9,000 career rushing yards. He could get that figure today if he ran for 114 yards. 9,000 would be only the 8th back to achieve that. 2nd and 10. Under heavy pressure, out of bounds, intended for Bill Brooks. He was open. He got away from Rod Jones. But it was Ron Holmes who is responsible for preventing a touchdown there. You don't think about those things sometimes, but a defensive lineman can prevent the touchdown because of the good rush, because Brooks was wide open for the score, but Chandler just didn't have a chance to get the ball to him. Holmes has got a great burst, that first step, and that's what you need from a pass rusher. The first step's the most important. Holmes has that burst. Holmes is a product of the University of Washington, as is quarterback Chris Chandler. 3rd and 10, 49 seconds left before the half. Chandler stays in the pocket. Verdon complete. In Bucs territory at the 47-yard line, and a flag down in the backfield. Could be a roughing the passer.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 94 on the defense.
Oh, that'll make a big difference.
Down in the dead ball spot.
Again, now you're going to get yourself in field goal range.
Comes on Goff. Robert Goff came in and hit Chandler late.
90 Holmes takes the inside move. Goff at the top of the screen. Right there, late. Yeah, that's a good call by the official. He came in late and hit Chandler with the right arm right in the face. That's how you break noses.
It wasn't noses that you had problems with, wasn't it? Fingers, Pat?
I kept getting my hand caught in people's ear holes and helmets and things.
18 yards on the completion, another 15 on the penalty. Intended for Dickerson, almost intercepted by Chris Washington.
In the Colts, 38 seconds remaining. They still have the 3 timeouts. So this part of the field, you could actually be thinking about touchdown. And you can use all of the field. You don't have to worry about throwing an outside route because you have those timeouts. So a lot of alternatives and opportunities for Ron Meyer.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him do something with Clarence Verdon here, Pat. He's brought them a big play aspect to their offense. Number 83.
He has over-the-top speed, and that's what you need.
Verdan lined up on the left side here on 2nd and 10. Rod Jones is guarding him. It's a handoff instead to Dickerson. Crossed him up again, and he's near first down yardage at the 22. Timeout called by the Colts.
And it's impressive use of the clock by Chris Chandler, too. Again, you have to be impressed with the poise he's shown as a rookie quarterback. He's come up with the big plays, as we said at the top, which was important to take some of the pressure off Dickerson. And he's used the clock very well here in the 2-minute drive, 2-minute drill.
That was an 11-yard pickup by Eric Dickerson. He now has 14 carries for 55 yards in this game.
And if Tampa Bay continues to use that double zone defense, which they've used most of the time, that's with the 2 corners up and each safety taking a deep half of the field. If you can just get a little crease in the middle, by the time you get into the backfield, the nearest defender is 10 or 12 yards away from you.
Ray Perkins. Pat, you worked his last college game when he was at Alabama. It was at the Sun Bowl, December of 1986. Just a few days thereafter, he signed up with the Bucks. 32 ticks left. Bentley in motion. Intended for Bentley, and behind him, right at the feet of Bobby Futrell, that could have been easily intercepted. Dangerous pass there by Chandler.
I think Chandler expected Bentley to break outside, but he broke inside.
Bentley in the 4th year out of Miami, and they're trying to work him more into the offense now. Pat, after you mentioned early in the season, he had not seen a lot of playing time.
A very good receiver. 10 catches coming into the game, even though he hadn't played much.
2nd down. Chandler looking for Brooks. He's got it, and they're going to spot it at the 1-foot line, and a flag down. Flag is down at the 9-yard line. Brooks stepped out just short of the goal line.
Holding. Number 32 on the defense. Penalty declined. First down, goal to go.
The right corner for the Bucs has really been a tough position this year. They gave up a couple of touchdowns against Philadelphia early, and this time there's the holding their call on Rod Jones, a former #1 draft pick. A good pattern by Brooks on the corner route, and that's set up by running so many inside routes. Here's the ending of this was after the hold, but a beautiful throw by Chandler. That's set up by him, Brooks, running so many inside routes. That time he went outside.
Out of the eye on first down. The give again to Dickerson. He will not score. They'll have to use a timeout here. Stopped by Eugene Marv.
Good goal line defense. The key here is just get penetration. And a bunch of guys get low. They knock the entire offensive line back, and that's the key to playing goal line defense. A couple of defensive backs come up, and then it's Eugene Marv, 99, who's played very well here in the first half. Get some help from Coleman. 5 jersey. That's what goal line defense is all about.
It's almost a loss of 2 yards on the play. Ball is spotted right at the 2-yard line. 16 seconds left. The Colts have 1 timeout remaining. And what a big defensive series this could be for the Bucs if they could prevent Indianapolis from scoring a touchdown.
Well, with 1 timeout remaining, you still have the opportunity of trying to run the ball in. If you don't get in, you call a timeout, and then on 3rd down, you'd have to throw it. So they still have some opportunities because they've utilized those timeouts well.
2 tight ends in the game for Indianapolis. Bentley and Dickerson out of the eye from the 2. Play action. Chandler will keep it. Touchdown, Indianapolis.
We said the toughest thing for a rookie quarterback is to lead a team, show the leadership. Chris Chandler has come a long way today. Brought his team from some difficult circumstances to drive on long drives. Again, when you have an athlete playing quarterback, it gives you an extra dimension. Nobody was open. He was trying to hit Pat Beach, the tight end, but he found a little crease there, and the defense has the kind of speed and physical ability to get the ball in the end zone.
With only 11 seconds left in the second quarter. Now Viasucci with his third attempt of an extra point today. Viasucci is good once again. He's made 53 in a row. And with 11 seconds left before the half, it's now 21-10 the Colts.
The play action fake really didn't fool the Buck defense. They were trying to slip out Pat Beach, but the defense had it well covered. And Chandler just again uses that athletic ability that he has, found that little soft spot, and then turned on the jets. He's got pretty good speed for a quarterback. Every rookie quarterback likes to be able to get in the end zone and slam it like that, you know? Don't get a chance to do that in college. Don James would not let him do that at Washington, believe me.
The Colts have had a problem putting points on the board this year. In fact, their highest point total to date was only 23 points last week in a losing cause. They've almost equaled that total here in the first half. Another scoring drive right down the field. This time only 54 seconds it took.
So look at Ron Meyer facing us. He is a guy who's told us this week the difference between this team a year ago from this year's team. We haven't been making the plays. We haven't been coming up with the big plays or even the subtle things that help you win games. Today the Colts have, and that's why they have 21 points in the first half. They've made those plays.
He stated it in terms that I could appreciate. He says, we're not making the birdie putt.
Yeah.
You got to make the birdie putt to score. And I haven't made a birdie putt in a long time myself, so I know exactly what he's talking about.
I had one in 1968, I think.
That was at 400-yard par 5, right? A little squibber here. Coming down to William Howard at the 20. The rookie runs forward 7 yards before Freddie Robinson buries him. And perhaps time for a play or two if Testaverde chooses to.
Remember last week it was Starring who caught the Hail Mary pass at the end of the game against Minnesota that almost gave him a chance to try the field goal.
Ray Perkins, you've been talking about working with his quarterback. He knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. He played with Joe Namath, Steve Sloan, Kenny Stabler at Alabama. And then when he played for the Colts, he had a couple guys named Unitas and Earl Morrill.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. And they'll just go into the locker room right now, trailing 21-10. 2 touchdowns by Eric Dickerson and a 2-yard score by that man, Chris Chandler, putting the Colts ahead here at halftime. Indianapolis coming in with a 1-5 record. They've been waiting to put it together. And here in week 7, they've had a strong first half showing.
And the key in the first half, as we said a couple of times, Jim, is that Chris Chandler has taken some of the heat off Eric Dickerson. The combination of the two can be a formidable defense or team to defend.
We get set for the third quarter. Tampa Bay and Indianapolis. The Bucks coming in at 2-4. The Colts 1 victory, 5 losses after last year having won the AFC Eastern Division title. And Pat, as we see Viasucci and the kicking team of the Colts about ready to get it started in the third quarter, realistically, what are the chances of the Colts this year at 1-5? This is a traditionally slow starting team.
Well, realistically, I don't think they're very good. I mean, there's always the mathematical possibility they're going to have to go on a run, obviously, and their division is not particularly tough. And nobody's given the ship up, but it's going to take them thinking about each game 1 week at a time and not worrying about what's going to happen 5 weeks from now.
Ron Meyer and his team feeling that they have to win now. They still think, though, after last year, having put it together, that somehow they can get one of those long victory streaks together and get back into it. Has to start today, though. No more second chances after this. Here's the second half kickoff to Jeff Smith. And the 4th-year runner out of Nebraska returns it to the 25-yard line. First half stats, let's take a look. Rushing yards belonging to the Colts, as well as time of possession.
Oftentimes that time of possession stat is not a factor. I think it was in the first half, though, because the Colts had those 3 long scoring drives.
Now Vinny Testaverde, after a first half of 1 interception, 1 touchdown, back to Bruce Hill. Starts off with a pass here in the 3rd quarter, and it's almost intercepted. Almost intercepted there.
Chris Good.
Chris Good, the brother of Kerry Good.
And that ball wasn't necessarily a good play by Good. It was just a poor throw by Testaverde.
Gives us a good chance to talk about the fact we have a lot of good things to say here today. Kerry Good starting in the backfield for Tampa Bay. Chris Good in the secondary for the Colts. Pierre Good of Alabama returned a kickoff last week for 100 yards and a touchdown. And the younger brother Clyde plays for the Tide as well. About 20 other Goods here in attendance today. Here's Kerry Good. All these Goods should add up to a great ball game.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't think you were going to do that.
How about those numbers?
Again, what they like about Kerry Good, even though he's a rookie, he can do a couple of different things for them. He's not afraid to run the ball inside from tackle to tackle, a strong inside runner, as well as being able to take the ball outside. They'd like to see him develop a little bit more as a pass receiver, but they've been very pleased with the rookie.
6 yards on the pickup, 3rd and 4, and shotgun time for Tampa Bay. Jeff Smith in the backfield, Hill in motion. Testaverde looking right, throws, caught by Hill. First down, Buccaneers. He's out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
That was an awfully easy first down. Bruce Hill just going in motion. Starts on the left and just got lost out here in the flat. Somebody should have been covering the flat zone here, but no one did. Testaverde just saw it, dumped it. 2 receivers deep behind him, which took the defensive back out of the way. But that first down was too easy for the Bucs. That's poor defense.
Bruce Hill was a defensive back at Arizona State until his junior year when he was switched to a wide receiver. That was the Rose Bowl season for the Sun Devils. Here on first down, a handoff to Kerry Good, and he's dropped for a loss by John Hand.
John Hand is such a big guy. If he gets underneath you and gets a little bit of leverage, he has a chance. That's what happens there. He goes low, gets underneath of the offensive guard, and then makes the play with some help from Joe Klecko.
A loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Big John Hand out of Alabama. He was the 4th player selected in the draft in 1986 out of Alabama when he played for Ray Perkins. Now going against Perkins today. Here's the pass. Wide open is Hall. Hall inside the 30 and down at the 24-yard line. Fred Young finally tackled him there, but not until a big gain on the play.
Vinny Testaverde did a nice job there of finding the right matchup, the one he wanted. The outside receivers were covered by defensive backs. Ron Hall was covered by an inside linebacker, Fred Young. And although Young runs well, Hall put the little inside move on him, broke out, and was wide open.
Hall had 13 receptions on the season coming in today. He's got 5 today. 2nd-year player out of Hawaii, and that was a 34-yard gain, the longest pickup of his career. I always thought that would be a fun place to go play college football in Hawaii. Having a good season, by the way, the Rainbows. Here on first down, Testaverde stays in the pocket and is dropped by Dwayne Bickett. His 2nd sack today, Bickett.
Bickett has played well over the tight end and on the run, which we've seen, and you've also seen him sack the quarterback now twice. He gets real wide. They line him up as a defensive end, even though he's a linebacker. He gets down in a stance and comes real wide, gets around the corner, gets on the tackle's outside shoulder, and then makes the play.
4th year out of Southern Cal. He was a straight-A student out there. They used to have some quarterback like Pat Haden or somebody who had those kind of grades at USC.
Bickett says he's real frustrated with the way the year has gone, though.
2nd and 16, a running play. It's William Howard, and very little there for Howard. Cliff Odoms.
Take a look at Joe Kleckel. We talked about how unusual his stance is, playing against one of the best centers in the league, Randy Grimes. But he gets offset. But see, even though he lines up on his left, he still has the kind of strength and quickness to get back over. But he is buried by Rick Mallory, number 68, the left guard. It's nice teamwork between Grimes and Mallory inside, passing Kleckel from one offensive lineman to the next.
3rd and 13 out of the shotgun. Starring and Carrier right, Pillow and Hill to the left. Testaverde looking toward the end zone, and it's not there for Bruce Hill. Hill trying to come up with it at the 5.
Dan Turk is down with his helmet off and appears to be injured.
Dan Turk, the starting right guard for Tampa Bay.
He came into Ray Perkins in the offseason, Jim, and said, "Coach, I know I'm a backup center. I want an opportunity to start somewhere." Ray liked the attitude and worked his way into right guard, a starting right guard. It's a new position for him, but he's played it very well for the Bucs.
Turk was picked up a year ago from the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th-round draft pick. He had been a backup there to Mike Webster, and it's hard to get any playing time with him there at center. And when he was in his heyday, Webster.
Holding, number 74, offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Penalty on the rookie, Paul Gruber.
That's the second one on Gruber. Again, watch how wide Donnell Thompson, number 99, lines up on his outside. And again, he's just trying to keep him away from the corner. He does hold him with the left hand and just pulls him away. That actually was number 90. That was not Thompson. That was Ezra Johnson. But it's real tough when a defensive end lines up that wide. You're so concerned about him beating you quickly that you have a tendency to get your hand in there and grab his jersey. That's what Gruber did there.
Turk is still down, and 3rd and 23 coming up, but Turk gingerly stepping off as they were looking at that right knee. Turk, like Gruber, out of Wisconsin. One time they were teammates there of the Badgers.
Every good offensive team, Jim, starts with the offensive line, and you have to be able to keep your guys healthy in there. Tampa Bay was just starting to get that feeling of having their offensive line being a little bit more cohesive, have guys around and available from week to week, and that's what it takes.
John Bruin will come in at the right guard spot to take over for Turk.
Another look at Turk. He's right there in the middle of your screen, number 50. He took a nice shot on the turf with the head, and the helmet came off.
3rd and 23 for the Buccaneers. 3 wideouts. Smith and Smith in the backfield. A flag down, caught by Hill at the 25, and a fumble. Fumble picked up, I believe, by Tampa Bay. Chris Good knocked it loose. Again, there is a flag down in the backfield. A fumble at the other end, recovered by Tampa Bay. Stephen Starring was down there on the recovery for the Bucs.
And to me, early on, it looked like the defensive end from the Colts got so wide that Rob Taylor, the right tackle, got an early start. That's what happens when you have that big old guy on the outside. You're concerned that he's going to beat you quickly upfield.
It's not enough for a 1st down. While we have a moment, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Indianapolis Colts and the National Football League.
Penalty accepted. Repeat 3rd down.
Is prohibited. That 5-yard penalty, Pat, backs him up out of field goal range for Igwe Buike, but they'll get to repeat 3rd down. 3rd and 28.
Yeah, 3rd and forever, and all you have to be thinking about here, I would guess, is try to get yourself maybe 10-15 yards and give Igwe Buike a chance.
The Colts have not been flagged today. 5 infractions called on Tampa Bay. 3rd and 28. Testaverde's going across the middle for Hill, and it's knocked away and almost intercepted. Mike Pryor almost picked it off. John Holt was on the coverage.
And Hill did a nice job of preventing the interception. Holt had Hill very well covered, but Hill did the heads-up thing, and a lot of times you don't see receivers do that. If you can't catch the ball, make sure the defense doesn't. Vinny tries to squeeze that one in. That ball probably should not have been thrown in there, but Hill did a nice job of breaking it up.
Mike Pryor is deep for the Colts at the 10-yard line. Here is Criswell with his second punt today. High punt coming down at the 10. Fair catch. Criswell did his job there. Back them up inside the 20. And the Colts will take over for the first time of the second half. Indianapolis leading 21-10. I remember a controversial call one time up at State College, Pennsylvania, where a touchdown disallowed by Alabama would have won the game in the closing seconds. From the 11, first down, Chandler on the delay. It's Dickerson bouncing off one tackle. Fumble. I believe it's recovered by Joel Patton or Matt Booza. Is Booza the backup wide receiver? The ball was knocked loose. Colts recover.
And you know, Eric Dickerson has a reputation for fumbling, but when you carry the ball as much as he does, it's going to happen from time to time. It was Mark Robinson, number 30, who seemed to force the fumble, and that was a lucky break, went right into the hands of Booza. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There were more Buccaneers around the ball than Colts.
2nd and 3. Dickerson will try again. First down. Tackled by Mark Robinson.
Gain of 8 yards. First down.
Dickerson now starting to pile up some yardage. He had a rather slow start. Now up to 17 carries, 65 yards. Well, Dan Turk, the guard of Tampa Bay, injured on that last series. We hear from the bench it is the knee, but he might be back this afternoon. So good news for Dan Turk in Tampa Bay. First down for the Colts. Play action. Chandler looking long. Verdun is out there.
The crowd, of course, is calling for pass interference, as they always do, but when the ball is thrown up like that, the defensive player has just as much right as Verdun, the receiver, does. The key here, Chandler couldn't get everything on this ball because of the rush. Ron Holmes right there makes him take a little bit off. It actually might have even deflected the ball, and that's incidental contact because the defensive back has just as much right, Harry Hamilton, to the ball.
Harry Hamilton stayed right with Clarence Verdun. Verdun, their home run hitter, V-E-R-D-I-N, but it's not Verdun, it's Verdun. He's from down in Cajun country of Louisiana. On 2nd and 10, Chandler quickly to Pat Beach. Incomplete, it's ruled.
That's another nice play by Mark Robinson on defense. He's the one that really stripped the ball, and that's about 3 plays in a row that Robinson has done that. He is a 5th-year player, and they needed in a young defensive team a kind of a leader. And Mark Robinson has provided that kind of stability and leadership in that defensive secondary for the Bucs.
Robinson acquired in the offseason from Kansas City for Steve DeBerg and a 4th-round draft pick. He played in Kansas City for the Bucs defensive coordinator Doug Graber, who was the secondary coach with the Chiefs. He liked him so much he made sure he got him back over here with him again in Tampa. 3rd and 10. Here's the blitz. Gets away from Washington. Chandler caught by Brooks. That is an example of how to get 2 feet down inbounds.
And that is a great play by Chris Chandler. Chris Washington, who's got some speed, he's going to come on the blitz from the inside. And believe me, he has some speed right there. He is not picked up by Utt, the guard, but Chandler gets out, and then he's well covered by Reynolds. Brooks is. The ball is drilled away from the defender. It doesn't get any better than that. You cannot have any better offensive play than Chris Chandler just showed you right there. First avoiding the rush, and then beating good coverage, throwing the ball away from the defender for a big play.
Brooks having a big afternoon, and the Colts are 6 for 7 on 3rd down conversions. They were converting only 22% on the season coming in as Dickerson carries and picks up 6 yards.
Ron Meyer again said this team wasn't making the plays, but the last play was just another example of what's happening today. The Colts are making the plays. It's a quarterback. It's a subtle thing. It's a quarterback avoiding the rush, finding a guy where he can dump the ball off to. Those are the kind of plays they weren't making the first 6 games of the season.
Albert Bentley comes in on this play. Dickerson to the sidelines on 2nd and 4. Beach and Boyer both in motion. Bentley the lone setback. Boyer. First down, Colts. Crowd was wanting an unnecessary roughness flag on the end of that, but no flag.
What the Colts are doing a very nice job of is really kind of giving you a lot of different things. They'll throw the ball downfield to a wide receiver deep. We saw them do that to Verdane, even though it wasn't successful. They'll dump the ball over the middle of the tight end. They'll run Dickerson off tackle. They'll come back and hit the tight end out in the side of the defense. And I think it's tough to defend a team that presents you so many weapons in the course of a game.
Cowboys continue to struggle. Chicago shutting them out in the 3rd quarter. First down for Indianapolis. Quickly to Boyer. And a gain of 8 yards. Stopped by Bobby Futrell. You get the feeling the Colts are mixing it up enough to keep this Tampa Bay defense.
That's what's a tough thing. They're throwing a combination of quick passes, which you can't rush. You can't rush a quarterback on a 3-step drop. And they're giving Chris Chandler enough protection when he does take the 7-step drops to be able to get the ball downfield. They're throwing to wide receivers, they're throwing to tight ends, to backs, and then they're running Dickerson.
Chandler is the 8th quarterback to start since Indianapolis moved here in 1984. They may have finally found someone to solidify that position. 2nd and 2. Chandler will tuck it in and pick up the first down.
Jim, you raise an interesting point about stability. I think if you look at the NFL, and the most successful teams are teams that have stability in ownership, head coaches, and quarterbacks. You think of the Steelers teams, the San Francisco teams, you need a guy who's going to line up underneath the center for 10 years to have a championship type of team.
Chandler came into this camp this year as a rookie, having the battle with Gary Hogeboom and Jack Trudeau. It was a similar story for you out at the Rams, was it not, when you had James Harris and was it Ron Jaworski?
Ron Jaworski, and then later it was Joe Namath. They brought everybody in but Johnny Unitas when I was there, I think.
Verdane in motion on first down. Dickerson shakes loose. No. Ricky Reynolds wraps him up after a 1-yard gain. We are at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, and the Colts today leading Tampa Bay by the score of 21-10, nearing the 6-minute mark in the 3rd quarter. Along with Pat Haden, I'm Jim Nantz, and the Colts today on offense have been driving the football right at the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay really has not been able to stop them.
They haven't created any negative plays on defense. They haven't really changed up the rhythm.
This is the 11th play of this drive. 2nd down and 9. Breaking free. Chandler will run again. John Cannon. Several others collapsed on the quarterback, but it could have been a long loss before Chandler was able to break free.
For a big guy, he is 6'4", 210. He does have some very nice feet. And when you have feet like this and some athletic ability, you can make plays like that. Winston Moss, number 57, comes off the tackle. It was a nice spin by Chandler, but he's got to get down a little bit earlier than he did there.
Colts had 2 touchdown drives of 11 plays in the first half. This is now a 12-play drive at the moment. 3rd down. Chandler going for it. For Brooks, what a catch! touchdown to Bill Brooks.
And this wasn't bad coverage. Ricky Reynolds, number 29, the top of the screen, had Brooks about as well covered as you possibly can. This was just a great offensive play. We talked how he can jump. He is only 6 feet, but he's got a 36-inch vertical jump. That's 2 big plays he's made off jumps today. That's a great offensive play. That's not poor defense.
Jumped right over Ricky Reynolds for the score. And now Biasucci with the extra point. And the Colts drive the length of the field again. And now with 4:48 left in the third quarter, it's 28-10 Indianapolis. The America's Cadillac Polo Championship. Argentina against the United States. 1:30 Eastern time.
You guys wear seatbelts on those horses, or?
Pat, I was there for this one, for this polo match. We're here in the third chukker, by the way, at the Hoosier Dome.
All right.
And the Colts lead. I saw Wilt Chamberlain at the U.S. Open. He's a polo player, by the way.
That's incredible. It's his horse implement.
And Donnie Elder will just down it in the end zone.
And a fight breaks out on the 50-yard line.
We got a flag down as Terry Wright and Jackie Walker exchanging a few pushes and shoves. Let's see who they'll call the penalty on. That was way away from the action. Terry Wright, number 27 of the Colts.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 56 of the receiving team. After the touchback, will put the ball first and play 1st and 10 on the 10.
So that goes against Jackie Walker of the Bucks, and it's not what they needed at this point. Back them up 10 yards to the 10-yard line. Colts chew up another 5:45 on the clock on that scoring drive. How about when the Indianapolis offense has been on the field the last 4 possessions?
That is absolutely remarkable. And some of the times the defense of the Bucks have had Chandler stop, but it's been his athletic ability that's gotten him out of trouble, and he's come up with some big plays.
This place is heating up at the Hoosier Dome. Testaverde looking for Carrier, and it's over everyone's heads. Eugene Daniel back on the coverage against Mark Carrier.
And this is the type and the time of the game where when Ray Perkins says that Vinny Testaverde doesn't have to do it all himself, this is what he's talking about. There's still 4:37 left in the third quarter, and even though you're down 28-10, you need to be driving and put some points on the board. You don't have to do it all right away.
2nd and 10, 3 receivers in the game. Hill and Carrier to the left, Don Smith to the right, Howard the lone running back. Across the middle for Don Smith. Smith takes a couple of shots but holds on for the first down. Jeff Herrod really popped him, but Don Smith with his 2nd reception today.
And Ray Perkins said that Don Smith was the best back they had in all training camp. He has been injured, and he's been more of a factor as a receiver today than he has been a running back. And I tell you, for a former quarterback as he was, that's a pretty good catch in some traffic.
At Mississippi State, he led Rocky Felker's team to a hot start in '86. Here's Howard on the delay, and he trips and falls, and a flag down in the backfield. Thrown in the area of Rob Taylor, the tackle. And another call going against the Bucks. There's now 7 infractions on the Buccaneers, and Indianapolis has not been penalized all day.
Holding, 72 on the offense. Penalty accepted, 10 yards, repeat 1st down.
And Rob Taylor is playing right tackle. He's on the right side of the screen, number 72. He's playing right tackle. Gets the takedown with the right hand and the left hand. That's a good call by the official. But he was moved from left tackle to right tackle, and that sounds like not a big thing, but that's a big adjustment for a tackle, I think. You go in from a different stance. You have to have a different pass drop.
1st and 20. Testaverde complete to Carrier. Shakes one tackle. A good gain on 1st down. Freddie Robinson tackle him.
I think one of the differences in this game thus far has been the offensive lines. Even though Testaverde got rid of that ball, he was under pressure by Donnell Thompson, number 99. Watch how he's in his face on the left of the screen. Joe Klecko gets upfield. Meanwhile, Chris Chandler really has had a lot more time seemingly and hasn't had as much duress and been able to step up in the pocket and complete some passes.
It was a gain of 8 as Randy Grimes, the center, ready to snap it back to Testaverde on 2nd and 8. Vinny almost trips. Pass intercepted. Intercepted. Eugene Daniel. Eugene Daniel, touchdown, Colts. Yards for number 38, Eugene Daniel. And he breaks it open.
As tough as it is for Vinny Testaverde and Buck fans, he's just going to have to learn through experience. Again, some pressure. Again, everybody can say it's a bad throw, but it was caused by a rush. He had 2 people in his face. He couldn't get anything on the ball, and he had such great confidence in his arm. He still throws the pass when he probably shouldn't. But it was the pass rush that caused the interception.
First interception of the season for Eugene Daniel, and Biasucci now with the point after. Good again with 2:43 left in the 3rd quarter. It is now Indianapolis 35, Tampa Bay 10. Interception return for a touchdown in his 5-year career. Ups the lead for the Colts to 35-10. Eugene Daniel in his 5th year out of LSU. Officially a 41-yard return for a score. The first interception return by the Colts for a score since 1984. Biasucci to Jeff Smith at the 1-yard line. Good block, and here comes Smith to the 26. 25-yard return by Jeff Smith.
Well, it's so easy to sit up in the stands and say Vinny Testaverde threw another interception. It was all his fault. But watch the pressure that is put on him by Klecko and John Hand, number 78. He is 6'7", 300 pounds, just bowls right over Mallory and is right in Testaverde's face. Testaverde cannot step forward to get any oomph on the ball, and that caused the interception.
Mark Kafensis back in 1984 returned an interception for a touchdown against Buffalo, and this one by Eugene Daniel, the first since for the franchise. Here's Don Smith's first carry as a pro, and nice yardage for Don Smith.
What Ray Perkins likes about Don Smith that he feels that he's a real complete back. He can catch the ball, which we've seen today. That was his first run. He feels like he's going to be an accomplished runner, and he'll also block for you. Will lead for the fullback, and he'll stay in and pass protect, and that's what he likes. He can do all 3 things like some of his other backs can on a team.
Again, James Wilder inactive for this game today after an ankle injury last week in the game against Minnesota. The great James Wilder in his 8th season out of Missouri, only the 11th game he's ever missed in his career. Here on 2nd and 3, that's back to Smith, who's going to throw for Carrier, and it's over his head. Flag is down, and there's a way to make use of a former quarterback. Give the halfback option. But all for naught anyway, had it been complete.
They have really been their own worst enemy. It's been one mistake after another, either turnovers or penalties.
You ever find that strange where one team has
holding, 69 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Now 8 infractions on 1 and 0 penalties on the Colts. And here's the holding call here
on 68 Bruin, right there to the left of the screen. That's a pretty good takedown. I'd say that's a hold.
Yep. Can't question that. Don Smith trying to throw on the halfback option. Bruin's in there for Dan Turk.
He's a rookie they're very high on as well.
Rookie out of Tennessee. Joining William Howard, a rookie out of Tennessee who is in the backfield for the Bucs. Here's the second down play. Complete. Yes. To Hall, the tight end.
Wow.
Short gain.
It's the toughest 3-yard catch I've ever seen. Watch in the pit, John Bruin, the rookie offensive guard who is now in, number 69, right there in the middle of the screen. He has got Donnell Thompson, who's really come on this year to be a great pass rusher. And he's getting his helmet pushed off. He's getting banged around, pushed around, but did a nice job of giving Vinny Testaverde a little bit of time to get rid of the ball.
3rd and 8 for Tampa Bay. Jeff Smith comes into the backfield as the Bucs operate from the shotgun. Carrier has the grab and the first down. Nice diving catch by Mark Carrier.
And even though there's only the 53 seconds, there's still some time. You still have the whole 4th quarter, but it's important that Tampa Bay score on virtually every possession. Good protection here at the shotgun formation, and he does a nice job of leading Carrier and keeping the ball low so that if Carrier doesn't catch it, no defender will.
Cliff Odom is out of the game with a sprained ankle for the Colts. 1st and 10. Dumps it off to Howard. First down. It's all open up the middle inside the 40.
And that's a nice call by Ray Perkins. When you're getting a big pass rush from the Colts, which they are, you slow down the rush a little bit by running draws and some traps and a little dump pass there to William Howard.
So the Bucs driving at the end of the 3rd quarter. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score: Indianapolis 35, Tampa Bay 10. With the NFL today. Here's Testaverde's pass caught by Don Smith. Another flag down. Don Smith quite a target out of the backfield today.
Number 79 defense lined up offside. Penalty declined. First down.
That still does not count officially as a penalty since it's declined, but it's a pickup of 24 yards on the pass play to Don Smith.
The key there, the pass protection. If you give a guy like Vinny Testaverde just a little bit of time, a little bit of crease to throw the football, he's got the kind of ability to get it in there. But he's been under some duress this afternoon.
Don Smith and William Howard in the backfield. Smith in motion. Here's the first down pass. Incomplete. Ron Hall was the intended target. And Fred Young. How about what they gave up here in Indianapolis to get Fred Young from Seattle?
Well, they gave up 2 #1 draft picks, one this upcoming year, one the next, and people here are upset with that because they think that's an awful lot. I thought the Colts thought they were going to have a better team, and that #1 draft pick wouldn't have been as significant, but if they continue to lose, it could be a very high pick. But they needed some help inside, they felt. They needed some speed, and Fred Young gives that to them.
Out of the eye on 2nd and 10. The give to Smith, trying to get outside. Pummeled by Donnell Thompson and John Hand. Another flag down here.
Well, clearly, Jim, the Colts have decided they need to win now. They have traded an awful lot of draft picks to get guys like Eric Dickerson and Freddie Young. So it's important.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 38 on the defense. Half the distance penalty from the dead ball spot, automatic first down.
So on Eugene Daniel, their first penalty of the game. But the point being is they have to win early, because a guy like Dickerson, as great as he's been, a running back is going to wear himself out in the league, and you can't wait for 3 or 4 years to be successful and get yourself in the playoffs.
Right now, with a 1-5 record coming in, that #1 pick that Seattle has acquired is very attractive. First and goal from the 5. Don Smith finds the end zone for the touchdown for Tampa Bay.
You can see what Ray Perkins sees in Don Smith. He has been impressive. Just coming back in off of an injury. That left halfback follows a nice block of his fullback and the right tackle, Rob Taylor. The tight end, Hall, number 82, and then cuts in and has enough power to be able to bull in for the last 2 yards. But the complete back, we've seen him catch the ball, and now we've seen him run the ball both inside and outside.
Donald Igwe Buike for the extra point. Criswell on the hold. Kick is good. Only 52 seconds into the final quarter. Is now 35-17 Indianapolis. We'll return to the Hoosier Dome after this word from your local station. 14 minutes 8 seconds left inside the Hoosier Dome, with the Colts leading the Bucs 35-17. Albert Bentley at the goal line. He takes it at the 2. 25-yard return by Albert Bentley. That last drive for the Bucs, covering 74 yards in 7 plays. Don Smith with the 5-yard touchdown run.
And the difference in that drive, again, I think, was the protection that Testaverde was given by the offensive line. But now it's the Bucs defense's turn to do something here. They have not done a good job at all in stopping the Colts, as they continually have driven the ball. To get back in the game, there's still time to do it. They need to stop the Colts right here and force a punt.
Eugene Marv giving a little word of encouragement there to Victor Jones, a rookie linebacker who was activated today for this game. Beach wrestled down, or Eugene Marv and Mark Robinson.
Marv has played well today. When he sees the man in motion, he calls the audible. He's in charge of that, shifts all the linebackers over, and then he tries to read the quarterback and cover Beach. He tried to squeeze him between Marv and Robinson, but Chandler did a nice job of throwing the ball in between the 2 defenders. I really have been impressed with Chris Chandler. I don't know about you, but he has really impressed me this afternoon.
Absolutely. Here was a guy that was being touted last year, his senior year in college, as a possible Heisman candidate. Didn't develop as a good year for the Huskies, but proving his worth now and looking like a steal in the 3rd round. 2nd and 4, Dickerson running left. Short of the first down by a yard as Chris Washington ran him out of bounds.
You mentioned the 3rd round where Chandler come from. Surprisingly, there have been a lot of top players, top quarterbacks selected on that 3rd round. Take a look. Joe Ferguson, who is right here backing up Testaverde, Danny White, Montana, Schrader, now Chandler. Kind of a funny round. Sometimes college quarterbacks have that disappointing senior year, as Chandler did, that you just alluded to, but have the physical skills to play well.
3rd and 1 here, with Bentley and Dickerson in the backfield. Chandler on the sneak. I think he has it.
That's a kind of a savvy play. He just kind of quietly walked up to the line very slowly, then went on a quick count, and I don't think the Buck defense was ready.
Pat, he took it right over his right guard, Ben Utt, the man with the shortest name in the National Football League.
You've got a lot of useless information.
Thank you. Actually, I guess Al Toon of the Jets is right in there with 6 letters as well. We'll give him the NFL co-championship on shortest names. First and 10. Dickerson A year ago against the Bucs, Dickerson ran for 196 yards, his top effort in an Indianapolis uniform, and the second greatest effort ever by a Colts player. The greatest was by Norm Bulash of 198 yards back in 1971 against the Jets. That was Dickerson last year against the Bucs. 196 today, 76 on 21 rushes.
And one big run for about 27 yards, but other than that, he's had to get those other yards in a very tough manner inside the tackles.
2nd and 8. Chandler sees the field open, slides safely down at the 46, but he's short of the first down. 11 minutes 14 seconds left in the game. We're at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. Jim Nantz along with Pat Haden, as the Colts today have put it together on offense. We have not seen Roan Stark, their punter, since the first quarter. 35-17. Now another 3rd down situation. Call it 3rd and 2 for the Colts. Look at that, 8 for 9 today, Pat. This is a team that could not convert all season on 3rd down coming in. Go for it via the air. They have it. Mark Boyer. Consider that coming into today's game, they were only 14 of 64 on 3rd down today, 9 out of 10.
Tough to rush a quarterback on a 3-step drop. Chandler has had success here this afternoon. 1, 2, 3, and he gets rid of the ball to the tight end Boyer on the left side. But it's tough to put a quick rush on a guy who's getting rid of the ball that quickly.
Chandler found Mark Boyer 5 times today. That's a career high for Boyer, who had only 8 receptions on the season coming in. First down from the Bucs 43. Stutter stepping and gaining a yard is Dickerson. Gary Hogaboom. Chandler says he's helped him out a lot.
Well, that's really been his role, and a seasoned quarterback like Hogaboom can really help a rookie like Chandler, and Chandler said he's really helped him through the last few weeks. Hogaboom, of course, disappointed that he's not getting a chance to play. One of the biggest adjustments Chandler has had is, which he didn't have to do in college, he has to call the line calls from the line of scrimmage. You don't have to do that in college. That's one of the biggest adjustments he's had.
Good numbers posted by Chandler. More impressively, how he's run this offense today for the Colts. Mixing it up, throwing on 2nd down for Brooks. And that pass is intercepted. Intercepted by Ricky Reynolds.
What a matchup those two guys have had today. We saw Brooks earlier in the game jump up over Reynolds when he had him well covered for a touchdown. This time Reynolds returns the favor. Again, beautifully covered. Reynolds is having a great year covering guys one-on-one. That was a blitz situation, and then he makes a terrific catch. Nice coverage by Reynolds.
Ricky Reynolds, 2nd year out of Washington State with the interception.
But Brooks shows a great athletic move. You can't cover a guy any better than Reynolds has him right here, but just he's 6 feet tall, but great leaping ability to make the play.
That interception by Ricky Reynolds is the first time the Colts have been stopped on offense since the first quarter. Here's a complete pass to the tight end, Ron Hall, and he's up to midfield.
Again, Testaverde finds the matchup he likes, and a seasoned quarterback learns how to do that. He's done it a number of times today. He has got Fred Young, the inside linebacker, right there in the middle of your screen, to the right of the screen now, against his tight end, Ron Hall. The same pattern they ran earlier for a big play, and they come right back to it again.
What a day for Ron Hall. He's over 100 yards in receiving. That was a 37-yard gain. That breaks the longest of his career set earlier today from midfield on 1st down. Testaverde airing it out for Hill. He's got it, and he's inside the 20. And this Tampa Bay team has momentum. They are moving the ball with such confidence on offense.
The key here was the look-off that Testaverde gave the free safety. You're going to see him come back, and he's going to look to his left. Then he goes back to his right. Bruce Hill, who runs the deep pass better. And you can only throw this pass if you have a shot arm. But he looked the free safety 39 prior off, and that allowed Bruce Hill to come open just for a moment.
Ron Hall and Bruce Hill over 100 yards each in receiving. And that was a 35-yard gain on the pass completion to Bruce Hill. Testaverde's third play of the drive, and it's a touchdown. Touchdown to Bruce Hill.
Wow. You know, there's a turning point in every quarterback's career when you bring your team from behind or you win a big ball game, and I don't know whether Testaverde is going to do it today, but this could be it for him if he does. But their offense has been very impressive. Hill in motion again against the double zone. They keep running the double zone, and Testaverde keeps hitting that little seam route right over the middle.
3 plays, 87 yards. And the extra point by Igwe Buike is perfect. And suddenly, with 8 minutes and 2 seconds left, the lead is down to 11. Passing on the afternoon, and 2 touchdowns, both to Bruce Hill. There's Albert Bentley. He'll receive the kick from Igwe Buike at the 2. 20-yard return. Don Smith, he's everywhere. And Chris Washington on the tackle for Tampa Bay. Coming up later today, you'll be seeing that NFC West showdown, the Rams and the 49ers. Rams are tied with the Saints at the moment.
And that's a game I'm looking forward to watching. Joe Montana, I think he's the most fun to watch of any quarterback in the NFL. And San Francisco has that kind of team that can give you finesse, but they can power the football when they have to. And the Rams are on the rise. John Robinson has done a terrific job this year with his talent for the Rams.
49ers are going for their 11th straight win on the road. It's an NFL mark. First down, Chandler keeps on throwing, and he's got his man there, and Mark Boyer.
And that's a key, Jim. As you said, they keep on throwing. You never want to get into a shell when you have a lead. I've seen more teams lose a lead by trying to protect it. Chris Chandler right there just drops back. It was a nice call. Again, good protection. Safe pass to the tight end Boyer. And they pick up the first down.
How about passing yards today? Indianapolis on the season, you can see how low their average was. They were ranked in the National Football League 25th out of 28 teams in passing yardage. Today, topping that mark by about 100 yards to this point. First down for the Colts. Dickerson brought down by Mark Robinson. 4-yard gain.
George Hill on the center of your screen, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, trying to figure out a way to now to put some more pressure on Testaverde when they get back in. They were not able to do that on the last drive. The offensive lineman for the Bucs really did a nice job of protecting him. Hill, been an assistant coach for over 20 years, was at Ohio State for a while in the college ranks.
Coached for Woody Hayes at Ohio State at one time. 2nd and 6. Dickerson alone, setback with a double tight end formation. Here's the tight end, Pat Beach. And he's run out of bounds short of a first down. Mark Robinson running him out.
Chandler has done everything that a 10-year quarterback needs to do. This is only his rookie year. He reads the blitz here and hits the hot receiver, the tight end Beach. And we've seen Chandler throw the ball deep. He's thrown it short. He's thrown it with zip and touch. I've been incredibly impressed with Chandler's performance today.
Redskins rolling past the Cardinals. A little revenge after having lost in Phoenix.
Very important third down here for the Buck defense. 3rd and about 2 yards. They need to stuff them here. Give Vinny Testaverde a chance.
We have only 6:17 left in the contest. 6:17 left. The Bucs need the football. Down 11. 3rd and 2. Dickerson will not have it. He is dropped by John Cannon for a loss of 4 on the play.
And that's a big play by John Cannon. right there over the center. He gets in very, very quickly, fights through the pulling guard and puts the stop on Dickerson, and that is a big stop right when they needed it. It's the first time, really, the defense rose to the occasion.
Roan Stark will punt for only the second time today. Bobby Futrell back at his own 20 for the Bucks. Stark has been busy holding on extra points for Biasucci, but certainly not punting today. Trying to get Tampa Bay to jump. They don't bite. The left-footed kicker drops Futrell back to his 18. Running room. And Tampa Bay will start from its own 33-yard line. 44-yard punt, 15-yard return. 5:18 left for Vinny and company. 35-24, Indianapolis trying to hold on against Tampa Bay. Both teams with all of their timeouts remaining. 5:18 left in the game. What is Testaverde trying to do now, Pat?
Well, he needs 2 touchdowns, so you have to be thinking that. I'd be surprised to see him punt, having to get those 2 scores, but you can see him spread the defense out, try to get the ball downfield.
Out of the pro set. Testaverde on first down. Under pressure, throwing it away. That's smart play by Testaverde.
That's the right play. And you can't do it all by yourself. The key to the rest of this game is how much pressure this front 4 can put on Vinny Testaverde. They're in their nickel defense. They'll be in the nickel the rest of the day. Ezra Johnson, number 90. Thompson, number 99. Bickett, 50. That's 4 guys in Testaverde's face. It's up to the offensive line, I think, as much as Testaverde if the Bucs are going to win.
Closing in and on a career high in passing yardage is Testaverde. 354 passing yards at the moment. Here comes a rush and a fumble recovered by Tampa. Ezra Johnson knocked it loose.
Again, Ezra Johnson comes off the corner against Paul Gruber. Ezra Johnson has been a great pass rusher for a long time in this league, and he's playing against the rookie Gruber. Gruber's played well all year, but when he's gotten in trouble today, the guys have gotten right on the corner of him, right on his left shoulder. They get a quick burst upfield, and Gruber's gotten beaten early.
That counts as a sack. Paul Gruber on the recovery for Tampa Bay. Inside of 4.5 minutes left. 3rd and long. Testaverde, the carrier, and he somehow holds on for a first down.
That is an incredible catch by Mark Carrier, and not a bad throw by Testaverde.
A pickup of 22, and Pat just bouncing around like a pinball here.
What surprises me is the Bucs have thrown this pass all day long, and still the Colts, well, you can't cover too much better than that. They had 4 guys right there. Again, a testament to Testaverde's ability. And Carrier just did a remarkable job of holding on to the ball. I think that's one of the toughest things for a receiver to do. When he runs that route in the seam and sees 3 or 4 blue jerseys and still is able to handle and hold on to the ball, Carrier did a marvelous job of it. As we said earlier, in every pro football quarterback's career, there's a turning point. If he can bring his team from behind today, it could be it for Vinny Testaverde.
And the team.
Absolutely.
And this young team. Down 35-10 to start the 4th quarter. They used one of their timeouts there. 4:10 left in the contest. A new set of downs for Testaverde and Tampa Bay. 4 wideouts. A man is open. It's Frank Pillow. And he's down at the 30-yard line. Freddie Robinson on the coverage.
You have to marvel at Vinny's ability. Again, he is going to be a great player in this league. He's got too good an arm not to be.
24-yard gain. That's the first reception of Frank Pillow's career, the rookie out of Tennessee State. Operating at the Colts 30. Testaverde across the middle, and it's short. Intended for Carrier.
Pretty nice coverage by the Colts, but they should, because this is the same route that Carrier caught earlier, right over the middle, the little seam route. There's two safeties behind the defensive back. Pryor comes up to make a play, but Testaverde did not force that ball. That was the difference.
A new career high for Testaverde. He has reached the 400 figure in passing yards. And is he hot here in the late going? 4 wideouts again on 2nd and 10. Shotgun time with Jeff Smith in the backfield. Vinny looking long. He's got Hill open. He's got it at the 5, and he's down at the 1. John Holt saved the touchdown, but Bruce Hill was open. Testaverde's calling for a timeout.
That was the shot I remember so much last week. Testaverde trying to get people off and on the field to try to get the field goal. Again, he is limping. He has been beaten up and hit an awful lot of this day, but this guy is a competitor. He has hung in there, taken some abuse. And again, Hill ran a nice little swing route from the slot formation. And if the ball actually had been thrown a little bit further, Hill would have scored easily. Again, Hill right there, coming out of the backfield, in motion, I mean. He goes right down the sideline, and Holt, number 21, gets caught behind it. But the ball is thrown out in front of him. He scores very easily.
Holt was kind of knocked off balance by Stephen Starring, and that got Hill free, who now has 162 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Pat, I have to address this question. They just used their 2nd timeout. 3:22 left. This is a team that ran out of timeouts last week, and it burned them against Minnesota.
Well, that was the issue we just talked about. It was probably not a very judicious use of that timeout. But here they have to score very quickly, and then their defense has to do the job.
They have brought Lars Tate, a rookie, into the backfield. He's the deep man out of the eye. William Howard is the fullback. This is Lars Tate leaping and scoring. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Their 3rd touchdown of the 4th quarter. Lars Tate, the 2nd-round draft pick out of Georgia, coming in for the first time today and scoring.
Although Tate is a little bit in the doghouse because he is not blocked well, he is a very strong runner. 218 pounds. The ball is clearly across the plane of the goal line, and he did his job there. Now it's up to the Buck defense.
Igwe Buike's extra point is good. That drive was less than 2 minutes. Tampa Bay just marching right down the field for the 3rd time in this quarter. That ties a franchise record with 21 points in the final quarter. 35-31, 3:19 on the clock. Only 1 timeout remaining for the Bucks.
And although they'll have the 2-minute warning as well, and they could possibly use that as a timeout. But again, if you think about what the Colts need to do, we've talked about the Buck defense, but Chris Chandler, again, a big moment for him, the rookie quarterback. He's trying to help his team protect the lead. And it's up to him to ground out a few of those first downs and find a way to run some time off the clock.
You have to feel an onside kick is forthcoming from the Bucks. And look at this 4th quarter performance. Outscoring the Colts 21-0. Chris Chandler, should the Colts recover here, perhaps needing 2 first downs to run out the clock. Chandler, who was posting what we thought were impressive numbers, and they are, has now suddenly looked at Vinny Testaverde's stat sheet run wild.
These 2 quarterbacks, I think, are going to be factors in the NFL for a long time. They are lining up for the onside kick so they don't think their defense can stop them. Unless perhaps they kick it deep out of this formation.
Mike Pryor has the recovery, I believe, for the Colts.
Interesting call with 3:15. I thought Ray Perkins would kick it and play defense. But because of the way Chris Chandler has led this offense, he was afraid that they'd run the clock out. Kind of a surprise call.
I think that's another example of where that 2nd timeout really hurt him. It came into play on that decision. And the recovery by Mike Pryor, the free safety, He's a former center fielder in baseball, drafted by the Dodgers was prior, and he just fielded that one like a baseball player and saves the day for the moment for the Colts.
Well, it's still a 4-point ball game. All they have to do is make sure the Colts don't get in the end zone and still stuff them, still force the punt or even a field goal.
First down, Dickerson. It's the call. And call it a 4-yard gain on the play. John Cannon. He's had a good afternoon for the Bucks. John Cannon filling in for Kurt Jarvis, who was inactive because of a neck injury. Clock running inside of 3 minutes now. The Bucks with only one timeout remaining. 35-31 Indianapolis. They'll use all of the clock here. Second and call it 6. 2:30 on the game clock. The pitch, Dickerson changing directions and will get stopped after a short gain by Mark Robinson, and the Bucks will use that last time out. Big third down play will be coming up.
You really have to question how the Bucks have used those timeouts. They called the first one, I believe, with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the quarter, and then one on a drive when they were 3rd and goal, and now they have none left. So again, this becomes the most critical third down for this Buck defense. 3rd and about 3.
2:19 left. They will not be able to stop the clock again except for the 2-minute warning. And again, this was a team a week ago against Minnesota on the road. Completed a Hail Mary pass, but without any timeouts left. Again, not using their timeouts perhaps judiciously. Was unable to get the field goal team out of the field for the winning kick by Igwe Buike. And now it looms large, that timeout taken at the 1-yard line. If it will not come back and haunt Ray Perkins and company again.
I think the most critical thing I think about not having timeouts if they get the ball back is the fact that I think it affects your play calling. It's much more difficult to call routes over the middle where you can't get out of bounds when you have no timeouts remaining.
3rd and 3. The obvious here is Dickerson. Do you think the Colts will go with him?
I expect to see Dickerson carry the ball on some sort of sweep or trap.
No pass play here.
I'd be surprised.
Tampa must make the play now. Dickerson going outside. He will be stopped. The Bucks will get it back.
And the crowd doesn't like it. The Colts have been successful all day long mixing it up. But again, trying to protect the lead here. They get a little too conservative. Give the ball to Dickerson. And Vinny Testaverde will have the ball when we come back.
They'll get the football back.
10 men up for the Bucks.
Don't start the punter. Futrell back for the Bucks. High kick, not very far by Stark. Inside the 20, however, and out of bounds. Spotted at the 18-yard line. Bucks will have it, a 23-yard punt by Stark. How about the Bucks stopping Eric Dickerson on 3rd and 3, Pat?
And this was the key. Again, you figure this is where you get lulled to sleep when you think Dickerson can do it for you time and time again. 3rd and 3, a long way to go for a running back, but nonetheless, I don't question the call. There wasn't much execution and very good team defense by the Bucks.
The Bucks now must drive 82 yards with no timeouts. 1:51 left in the game. Second half total yardage over 300 yards in this half alone for Tampa Bay, who have scored on their last 3 possessions. First down, Vinny going long. Frank Pillow has it. Down at the 49-yard line. Frank Pillow, a rookie, with his 2nd catch of the quarter, 2nd of his career.
And that is a sensational throw and catch because he was well covered.
31 yards on the pass play. Inside of a minute 30. Testaverde long again down the sideline. Stephen Starring out of bounds, they call it.
Again, that's what happens when you don't have timeouts, though. You have to throw the ball to the outside. What they have done, though, is made those Colt free safeties We'll take a look at the very end of the play and see if Starling was in. I don't think the right foot was down. It looked like it came in out of bounds. Good call by the official. But now they've set up the inside play, Jim. They've thrown twice to the outside. The safeties in that 2 deep coverage have to be concerned about that. Now they can come back over the middle.
.461 passing yardage for Testaverde.
Reset to 12 seconds on the down clock. 12 seconds remaining.
The down clock says 30 right now. They've reset it to 12.
The play stands as ruled. There are 12 seconds remaining on the down clock. It is second up.
Testaverde averaging an incredible 19 yards per completion. No timeouts for the Bucs with 1:24 left, needing a touchdown for the win. Trying the right side. Carrier has it short of the first down. The clock's still running. Third down coming up. 3rd and 2. This is where you must be careful to not forget you need to pick up that first down pass. 3rd and 2. Going down the right sideline and incomplete. A flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal motion, number 74 up.
And they will decline it now. It's a very tough call.
Penalty
4th and 2.
declined. 4th down.
4th and 2. Do you still throw the ball or perhaps you run the draw? Left side of the line. Gruber, number 74. Looked like he got out of his stands a little bit early, and that was the call.
With 1:01 left, the whole game rides on this play. 4th and 2. The pass incomplete. John Holt on the coverage of Bruce Hill, who is pleading his case for an interference call. The Colts will take over.
And for Ron Meyer, his team made the plays. They weren't doing it, but they did it today. Sank those birdie putts that he was talking about. You know, Jeff Smith, number 35, checks out of the backfield, and he is wide open. It's easy to see from up here. Testaverde was just thinking about getting rid of the ball, but good coverage on Hill by John Holt, number 21. A remarkable day for Vinny Testaverde. Nonetheless, he will be a very, very successful quarterback. He's going through some growing pains.
Look at him on the prowl on the sidelines, just aching to get back in there. But this game apparently is over. 1 or 2 snaps and it's over. With 56 seconds left, all Chandler has to do is drop to one knee. Herculean type numbers posted by Testaverde today. 25 of 42 passing, 469 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, it's going to be a gut-wrenching defeat for this young team. They'll walk away learning something from this again, I'm sure.
And don't forget Chris Chandler, how well he has played as a rookie. Really looked like he'd been in the league for 4, 5, 6 years. Looked very, very comfortable and confident.
One more snap and it's over. And the Colts will post their 2nd victory of the season. An outstanding afternoon for that man, number 14, Vinny Testaverde. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall 4 points short. For Pat Haden, this is Jim Nantz saying so long from the Hoosier Dome.